So at the center of this, it hasn't been a controversial finals, although Draymond Green is on a podcast and everybody is yelling and screaming at Draymond Green. You're not paying attention. You're doing a podcast. That's the big story today. And a report out that Celtics coaches and Dallas coaches have been listening to the podcast, which is fantastic. It's on the Volume Sports Network. Anywho, you should listen. The point is here, of course, that Dallas listened to the podcast and got blown out by the Warriors. And the Celtics are listening to the podcast and are dominating the Warriors. And does everybody understand the difference there? Yeah, Boston's a lot better than Dallas. That's the difference. Boston's winning this series for a very simple reason. Far more Celtic players are providing offense than Warrior players are. Draymond Green averaged 7.5 a game this season. He's averaging 5 in the series, which is a realistic average considering the Celtics are historically the best defense in years. Everybody's number is going to go down a little, right? His are going down a little. The bigger story is Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson. Jordan Poole was shooting 53%, was averaging 18.5 points a game in the playoffs. He was a legitimate replacement for Steph Curry when he went to the bench. Against the Celtics, he has dried up. His shooting percentage is plummeted. He's averaging 12 a game. Klay Thompson, very effective, especially late in the series against Dallas. He's dried up, shooting 34%. Why is that? It's not just because the Celtics are a better defensive team. It's where their great defenders are. The Mavs, the Nuggets, and the Grizzlies, they probably all listen to that podcast with Draymond Green. But they don't have elite defensive guards. Marcus Smart is the NBA Defensive Player of the Year. He'll guard Jordan Poole, move him over to Steph, move him over to Klay Thompson, and Derek White off the bench is an elite, above-average defensive guard. That's the series. Klay can't hit shots. Jordan Poole can't hit shots. And so the team now is completely reliant on Steph Curry providing all the offense in the backcourt. And because this team is a small ball team, they don't get points from their center. And Draymond Green's a defender. They don't get points from him. They get their points. This is who they are, the Splash Brothers. And they've been a drizzle. And Jordan Poole, who was giving you almost 20 a game, is now down to 12, and his field goal percentage has plummeted. And what Marcus Smart and Derek White do and Jaylen Brown do is when those players do get by them, they funnel them to Robert Williams, who swats their shot away. So the Warriors are getting nothing close to the basket because of Robert Williams and because of the defensive play of the Celtics guards. Everybody's efficiency has plummeted. This is the same thing the Warriors defense did to the Mavericks guards, Luka and Jalen Brunson. So, by the way, I strongly encourage you do listen to the Draymond Green podcast because there's a lot of insight on it. But let's not disrespect Boston. Memphis listened to that podcast, and Dallas listened to that podcast, and people all over the league listen to that podcast, and the Celtics are listening. The difference is they're a great defensive team, and they're getting far more offensive contribution than the Warriors are. Does it change now? Does Jordan Poole get hot? I doubt it, because I don't think Marcus Smart's going to get worse defensively, nor do I think that's going to happen to Robert Williams or Derek White. So let's talk about Robert Williams, Game 4 tonight. He is the center. If you had to ask me who the most valuable player in the series is so far, I'd say Robert Williams. Now, he's only averaging 6 points and 6 rebounds, so you all know the way the NBA works. He has no chance to win MVP. I mean, MVP voters in this league gave Russell Westbrook a most valuable player. He left, Chris Paul took over, they were better. I mean, we all know he was never the best player on Oklahoma City, right? Except for that 1 year, KD leaves, they go into the rebuild, but the minute he left, Chris Paul came in, they were going to tank, they actually got better. He won an MVP. All right, whatever. But if you took Robert Williams, the center for the Celtics, and you put him on the Warriors, just think about that. You just put him on the Warriors. I think Golden State wins the series. I think you could put Jaylen Brown on the Warriors. That wouldn't guarantee the series. Marcus Smart would still give Klay Thompson trouble. Marcus Smart would still give Jordan Poole trouble. But Robert Williams on the Warriors They would now drive to the basket as the league's best cutting, screening, and motion team, and they'd get all sorts of interior baskets, which now they can't. And Boston then would get no interior scoring. So they would become a jump shooting team. And Boston was only 14th in the NBA in three-point shooting. So Robert Williams is the classic, it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, MVP of this series. The Warriors have one thing potentially that may go their way. He's not playing 35 a night. He's playing 26. And he was limping early in this series, and he has a history of getting banged up. To me, the open door in this series is Robert Williams doesn't play as much. I mean, think about this. What game did Robert Williams play the fewest minutes in? Game 2. And the Celtics were blown out. Why? Because Kayvon Looney looked like an all-star, and the Warriors got a bunch of cheap, easy baskets down low, so they had the perfect bar stool. Interior scoring, transition scoring, perimeter scoring. As long as Robert Williams is on the floor, you take away a bar stool leg from the Warriors, and I don't believe they can win the series. So he will not win MVP, but it's a classic. This is where analytics don't tell the true story, is that a left tackle in the NFL, take Trent Williams, the left tackle for another San Francisco team, the 49ers. He's about as good a left tackle as the sport has right now. So Jimmy Garoppolo's not great, but when Jimmy Garoppolo drops to pass, he knows he's not going to get touched from the blind side. So a quarterback that has that confidence with an elite left tackle stands in the pocket a little longer, plays with more confidence, is willing to give his receivers an extra beat or two. That does not show up in analytics. Trent Williams is the classic great player, Tyron Smith to the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, when he's on the field, never has to worry about the blindside hit, the most punishing hit for a quarterback. Never has to worry about it. Does it show up analytically? Nope. But Dak's better. The numbers show it. Dak is a better quarterback when Tyron Smith plays. And Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback when Trent Williams plays. And that is Robert Williams. Robert Williams makes an already good defensive team impenetrable. He gives up no interior points. He's like a dead end sign on a street. There's no reason to even go down there. You ever driven by a street? You're like, can I do a short? You see the dead end sign. It's like, well, no reason to go down there. I'll just have to turn around in a little cramped corner. That's Robert Williams. So even if you get by Marcus Smart, you have to do a leaner. You have to shoot from 12, 15. You can't go to the basket. He'll just swat it away. He had 4 blocks alone in the last game. So this is the classic, doesn't show up in analytics, but he is such a force. He is such a don't go there sign on the street that there's just really nothing you can do if you're Golden State if he's on the floor. And I don't see it changing. Unless he's injured, which of course we don't root for ever under any circumstances. But he is hobbled. He came back a month after a surgery. That is almost unheard of. When Ime Udoka took over this franchise, one of the things he was really set on doing was toughening up Robert Williams, who had a brief history before he got there of not wanting to play through injuries. He was kind of your classic big, strong guy, but kind of soft. That's always been the knock on Anthony Davis. Big, strong, but soft, not going to play through injuries, not a lot of pain tolerance. Ime Udoka, who's convinced this young guy, we need you. And I think he's the most valuable player in the series to me. He won't win it. 6 points, 6 rebounds, has no chance to win it. But I don't see the Warriors winning tonight, and I don't – listen, sometimes they say styles make fights. You know, you pick who you think you're going to win. It'd be great if you could bet a fight by the third. You know, it'd be great if you could bet a fight by the third round. It would be great. I mean, for me, going into all these games now, if he's playing, the Warriors are in trouble.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.